Welcome back to FastMonty's Garage. Today we're going to talk about Wilwood's universal cable kit for parking brakes. And it covers both drum brakes, which was my old system, and their newer brake calipers. So this is going to be a fun one because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to modify the back of this thing. So we're going to take this apart and see what we can do, see how it's built. And if you're in a bind, I'll show you how to make this a little narrower. So if I've ever helped you out before, consider getting a hat. Shirts, links are below, or that join button right there. Join the Full Monty Club. All proceeds go to help the channel, me making more mistakes, you guys learning faster, and obviously subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let's get moving with how to install this parking brake and what to look out for. After you get your calipers centered on your rotor, I'm not going to go through how to do that. There is a bracket in the back. It looks very similar to this as on the other side. You can mount the brake caliper up here, or you can mount it on the bottom down here. Unfortunately, since I've modified my rear end so much, I cannot mount my caliper down here because of a little interference back here. So I am forced to mount it on top. And basically what you do is this adjustment bolt here in the back, unscrew it as much as you can. What that does, it widens the gap here. So you might have to use your hands, use your fingers, use a tool to widen that so you can get it on the rotor. And it slips right on the rotor, just like that. Go ahead and screw it in from the back and just cinch it down. Don't have to make it super tight. We're just checking clearances. Now that you're cinched down, you should be able to rattle your parking brake caliper pads. That means they're obviously loose. And then you're going to have to test how much stroke you have here. If you can do full stroke, that's too much. The cable is going to come running up here, and the ball end is going to pull on this lever, and you really want to go halfway. So take that adjustment screw in the back and start turning it in. Not the lock nut, the actual screw itself. Make sure you have enough room with that lock nut out of the way. And get to about the point where you can do halfway. I'm almost there. There you go, halfway. And when it's fully released, make sure you can still rattle those pads. Well, maybe a little tighter. There we go. It's about half stroke. I can still rattle them. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. After you do that, now you can lock it down with the hex on the screw, hold the screw in place, and lock the lock nut. Now let me show you the issue I'm having, and you probably noticed it. Here is my concern. Do you guys see there's barely any room for my frame and the end of that screw? Maybe 2 millimeters. So we need to shorten this. But I don't want to just cut this off because then we lose our adjustability or our lock nut feature. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this, and let's go hit the workbench. All right, before we tear this apart, I'm going to take a measurement here because I want to maintain at least a little bit of extra thread for that lock nut. See that I left a thread or two just in case we need some future adjustability. And then I'm going to lock my caliper in place right here. So that's our distance we can take off if we can remove something inside to shorten that distance, because I want to retain that hex. We can, if we need to, we can cut that hex in half too. But let's start with taking this apart, because it looks like these 3 screws will take off this housing. Oh, let's give it a shot. The last of the 3 screws. Let's see what we got. Oh, there's a gasket. Oh. Huh. That's pretty simple. Okay, unlock the nut. Let's see what happens when we turn it. Oh, it just goes in and out. Okay. Oh, but it stops. That means if we take this nut off, we can probably screw this all the way in and it'll just come out. Okay, taking the jam nut off. Washer, don't forget that for next time. And let's see if we can screw it all the way through. covered in grease, so if we do something, let's remember to re-grease it. Looks like a lithium grease of some sort. It's coming, it's coming. Oh yeah. There we go. So, it's a little bit of a crescent on the end. If we can take the same amount off that we locked in our calipers, put it back in, that'll save us the distance. All right, get to work. Let's go see. Oh yeah, perfect. That's obviously from the passenger side. So I'll go ahead and re-grease it. Lithium grease, I think. It was whitish, so, and reassemble it, see how it comes out. Okay, reassembled, and I loosened it so we can put it back in the car and do our adjustment process over again. See how it comes out. Oh yeah, way better. Check that out. I love it. Like I said, I can still cut half that off if I needed to, but I think that's plenty of room. I will keep an eye on it when I finally lower the car back down, because it'll be up in this area. But I think that's gonna work just fine. Let's go ahead and start talking about cable management. Here's that assembly I showed briefly in the intro. Obviously all put together for my drum brake system, and we do have to pull these lines because I have to change the end, and I'll show you the details there if you have drum brakes. The one thing I added was this little clevis thing. It's got a 1/4-20 basically loop on it that attached to my stock parking brake assembly. I got that through McMaster-Carr. I'll try and find the link, but I know you can find it there. But each one of these pieces you can actually order individually to customize your setup. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen these set screws, pull this block off, and then yank these cables out the business end, and I'll show you what it looks like, because it's different between drum brake and the caliper brake. This is what the drum brake attachment looks like, and it slips right on like this, and then you run it through a cable holder on the bracket. Now to convert this to the caliper only uses the ball. Let me pry this out of here. So I pried it out, and I have to take this clip off, and then the caliper only uses the ball. Like, this won't fit with this end on, so I'm going to try cutting this off with my cutoff wheel and see if it fits in our caliper. All right, before and after. Let's go see if the ball fits. My first attempt, it didn't fit because see how it's crimped on there? So one dimension is fatter than the other, and there's a diameter in the back that has to fit through, so you kind of have to line it up. And it will go like that. We are in. Now I'll do the other side, and then we can talk about our cable sheath length. One end of your sheath should have a fixed ferrule on it and lock nut. Go ahead and put that in on the business end, either by your drum brake or your caliper. Lock it in place, and then we go measure for length for the sheath where it mounts under the car. Let's go check that out again to make sure I'm at the right length. And obviously you want to run this where it doesn't interfere with suspension, moving parts, etc. You can use those clamp straps to bolt it to the frame, and just making sure it's out of the way of any moving parts. And let's go check the length. All right, luckily for me, it's the right length. Everything works out. What you need to do is mount your bracket first. Then run that black sleeve to where you want it to end, right through this, this nut, and give yourself some length so you can make an adjustment so we can actually make it tighter if we pull further. And then after that, you can run your brake line and then cut it about, I'd say 4 inches, so we can put our mounting block on there. Now the fun part. Go ahead and assemble everything together. And it's obviously very loose. I haven't put my set screws in yet. And this middle section right here is the important part. You want to make sure it's all the way flush on the back. This gives you 1.5 inches of room to tighten it. So we're gonna hand tighten right here, put your set screws in, tighten it, and it's still gonna be loopy. Then you tighten this screw using this nut right here, the 14 millimeter hex, and then that will start tightening this assembly. By the way, the parking brake is not on right now, right? So make sure it's off. Tighten it up, go test to see if your caliper pads are still rattling, and then start testing your parking brake and go from there. All right, a couple things to note. I went till I was finger tight here with that main screw, and then my calipers still rattle, which is good, but this is nice and taut. And then I also cut the wires flush with the block, because that will help you with the next step here, is put your lock nut down with a 12 millimeter wrench, cinch it down, it's not gonna go anywhere, and now you can play with your parking brake. Set it to your proper desired tension, make sure it works, of course, but this is the first place you adjust. The second place you can adjust are these guys here, just like your bicycle brakes. Extend it out, it gets tighter. And then the third spot is those caliper adjustment screws that we played with. So that was fun. I hope you guys learned a lot. I cannot wait to get on the road. As you guys know, it's been months because of the new rear end and mini tubbing. If you missed it, go check it out. It's over there, click that eye. The next step, because I have to bleed the brakes anyway, it's time to get a legit master cylinder and proportioning valve. So that's next episode. Thanks for hanging out. Until next time, build them fast, drive them faster. See ya.